Hello friends, and welcome to a new video. In today's video I'm going to show you how you can make these darling little shoe bows that you can attach to any of your pairs of shoes. For me, this is going to be for my company so that all the princesses can have little matching shoe bows for all their costumes, just so that they can kind of have special shoes without actually needing to own a dozen different pairs of shoes for my princesses. These bows were super inexpensive and really easy to make, so let's go ahead and get on into it. For reference, you can make these bigger or smaller according to your taste, but for my bows, my large pieces are 5 inches by 9 inches and my smaller pieces are 1.5 inches by 4 inches. Normally I avoid these edges here when I cut my fabric out, but for these bows it actually won't matter, so I decided to go ahead and not waste the fabric. So first we are going to take these large rectangles and we are going to fold them in half with right sides together, and then we're going to sew them with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then we're going to take a safety pin and just flip both of these inside out. Then go ahead and iron them flat with the seam in the middle of one side. Then just fold it in half with the seam on the outside and sew it together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. After you've sewn it, go ahead and trim off that extra seam allowance just so you can reduce a little bit of bulk, and then go ahead and flip it inside out. Alright, so we are almost done. Now what I like to do when I'm working with these slippery fabrics is just go ahead and put a couple little stitches there in the middle just so that it holds it in place so that everything stays centered while I'm sewing later. Okay, so here I have my two bows and you can see those tiny little stitches that I put in and how that's going to keep things centered for me later. So now what I'm going to do is just fold this in half and back out, and that's just going to give us the little dimple shape that we want. To hold my bow in place, I just use this little 2-inch piece of pipe cleaner to hold it closed. This won't stay in the final product, but it does help keep everything together while I'm still working on it. You could probably do this next bit with hot glue if you really wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and use a needle and thread and just hand stitch it on. Now just take one of the smaller rectangles and fold it in so that all of the raw edges will be hidden, and then just go ahead and line it up and place it on top of the bow. Make sure you're happy with the placement, and then you can go ahead and just stitch or glue it in, whichever you prefer. If you do stitch it in, make sure that you do go through all of the layers and actually hook the bow in as well, and not just the outer layers of the smaller rectangle. After that side is sewn down, you can go ahead and snip off the excess fabric because you won't need it. It was just kind of helpful to hold it while you were stitching things in. Again, look on the other side and make sure everything is looking even and looking nice, and then go ahead and pull out that pipe cleaner. We don't need it anymore. And then all that you're going to do is trim the other end as well so that you can go ahead and fold the raw edge in, and then just fold it down so that everything looks nice and neat. Once you're happy with the shape of your bow and everything looks neat and symmetrical, go ahead and flip that over and stitch down the last bit of the bow. Now that the bow is sewn together and finished, all we need to do to turn it into a shoe bow is add these neat little clips. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description box below, but they just have little holes so that you can just stitch them on. Make sure that you are sure of which way you are sewing this on. If it matters for your fabric, you will want the clip part to come up at the top of what the bow will be so that it can clip down onto the shoe. Now, if you just wanted a fabric bow, then you are all done. It is ready to go and ready to wear. But for me, I wanted to go ahead and add some pretty little rhinestones since these are for my princesses. This one's for Snow White. So I'm just going to glue those down with some E6000 glue and just pop them right on. And that's it. They're done. Let's go ahead and see how they transform my character shoes. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you follow this tutorial, let me know what kind of bows you made. I'd love to hear. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content just like this in the future. And if you're ready to watch some more Crafty Princess content right now, there's probably some cool videos popping up on your screen right now, so you should go check them out.